There we go. Okay. You test some base by the Mishna. Yeah, so first we finish off with some more chol hamoed, and then we go back. So the Mishnah on the top of the Amud, before all the marriage hashkafa that we did yesterday, the Mishnah went through all the things that you're allowed to write, on chol hamoed. So we said like a will and a prusbul and for divorce and like a tanaim to get married, because all these things are davar aved. You don't want anybody to lose any money. Right, so now here the Mishnah is going to say things that you're not allowed to write. So, you're not allowed to write a shtar chayv, right? Which a shtar chayv is basically a loan. It's a loan, that an IOU. But if he's doesn't believe him, meaning the lender says, "I'm not lending you money unless you write an IOU," or if the cipher doesn't have what to eat. Meaning you'll say the lender says, I'll give you the money now and then we'll write the IOU after Yom Tov.
First of all, we said you can write yesterday.
Yes.
But the shtar chayv you can't write.
Unless the guy won't lend the money, then you could. Meaning stam, if the guy trusts you, then you should not write the IOU. Right?
But the prusbul, which is something you have to do before Rosh Hashanah, that you could do. If he doesn't trust,
we learned
straight out, you could do it.
Yes, but we learned that it's if he doesn't trust. Prusbul's different because, he could write it later. That's what we learned. He was afraid that they would forget to write it later. That's the way we understood it. He doesn't want to lend the money without the prusbul. So same thing here. The same thing would be here.
Well, which I don't really understand. V'meina mamina means what? If you don't believe him, what happens if he dies? You need it for the Yorshim.
Right, but you have to prove that the loan exists.
So why can't you write it? If you believe him, let's say you lend it to a guy that you believe.
Then you shouldn't write it. Then you shouldn't write it.
You should write it because let's say the guy's going to die, and it's Yorshim. You should know that a loan exists. You understand what's bothering me?
No.
He
could tell his Yorshim.
No, but if if the guy's not concerned with that.
I'm not concerned.
If a guy's going to die, the halacha is different anyway.
I'm not concerned between Reuben and Shimon. Reuben's not concerned because he trusts Shimon, but he doesn't necessarily trust Shimon's kids. If Shimon dies, then you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, he wants it depends on the nerves of the lender. If the lender is going to be worried that the guy might die and then the Yarshim are not going to agree with the loan, then he has to. You're right. You mean why only in Meina and Mamina? It doesn't have to be only in Meina and Mamina. It just has to be that that would be the most common case. But yes, if he's nervous to lend the money, then you'd be able to write the shtar. Right? Yeah, it would be any of the above, I think. Right? But the other case is what's interesting. Where the guy doesn't care, he does believe him. But the cipher needs money for Yom Tif. Then you're allowed to write the shtar, even if neither party needs the shtar. Right? Still, the cipher, what do you call it? The cipher, if the cipher needs money, then you're allowed to write the shtar.
Maybe we should care about the sofer before Yom Tif to make sure he has enough for Yom Tif.
Right. That's yes, that is true. 100%. But on the other hand, it's the best way of giving is to give the guy a job. Instead of giving him a handout, you give him a job. But you're right. Maybe make sure to do the parrots. What are you doing up, parrots? Huh?
Just got back from the kever up.
I hear. Okay.
He didn't trust we could press record.
Yeah, no. I was. By the way, I was in the middle of catching up on the daf when I heard you talking about prepping meat and hitting record and everything else.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. But there's an important line here because this does come up because people ask, are they allowed to work on chol hamoed? And the question to ask them is, do they have parnasa or not? Now, how do you define that? So the Mishna is saying, he doesn't have what to eat. That sounds like he doesn't have bread to put on the table. Right? But
didn't we learn a few days ago that parnasa says that you have enough money for the year? which changed.
Correct.
We said something. One of you sure.
That's Naftali. That's not. There's two different levels. You have right. You don't have what to put on your table is a whole lot poorer than somebody who just doesn't have enough money to live out the year.
Correct.
Right. So a guy that has enough money to put food on the table certainly cannot. Look, it sounds like from the Mishna, you're not allowed to give him the job to do on chol hamoed, right? So that's a deal in the poskim. Some poskim say taka, that's what it is. Others say no, meaning it's how do you say it? I'm looking at the Magen Avram says that's for business, right? But for malacha, he has to mamish not have anything at all. Like for this, he's doing the malacha of writing. If for business, he doesn't not necessarily have to not have anything to eat. He just has to have some form of
Yaakov, how much tircha is it to write a shtar chayiv?
Doesn't make a difference what the tircha. It's just that the bottom line is it's a malacha. It is a malacha on chol hamoed. It's a malacha. There's even one word. It's a malacha.
The malacha is done by a professional.
Yeah, that means that's worse.
Is it a
Right.
malacha of stam? If stam two people do
What do you mean? The shnayim shasu?
it? Yeah.
That would be a Rabanan. But okay, then that's the whole shiloh, whether chol hamoed is the Rabanan or the Braysa. Okay, whatever it is, right? So then hareza yichtav. If he doesn't trust him or the cipher needs the money, then you're allowed to write it. Ein kaisen svarim tefilin and mezuzos b'mayid. You're not allowed to write svarim, tefilin and mezuzos. So svarim means a sefer Torah, and tefilin and mezuzos, you're not allowed to write it. Yeah. Vein magi and ois achas afilu b'sefer Ezra. You're not allowed to fix one word even in sefer Ezra. Yeah. Fine. So what's the chiddush with Ezra? Because they used the Sefer Torah of Ezra for, doesn't mean Sefer Ezra, it means the Sefer Torah of Ezra. That was considered the gold standard of Sefer Torah, and that's what they used to know what were the proper things to write. Now, what about writing notes in Torah on chol hamoed?
We discussed it this morning with Braysa.
Yeah.
It's tzarich yantiv.
It's the shiva is tzarich yomtiv. It's not.
If you're gonna forget,
That's a davar avid. That's not tzarich yomtiv. That's davar
I
avid.
meant davar avid. I meant davar.
Yeah, davar avid. Yes. So the place can say that it would be allowed because it's davar avid. The also question is what you're writing. Are you writing in English? You're writing in lashon kodesh. Lashon kodesh is worse. If you're writing in other languages called mashita, ksav mashita, then that's less of an issa.
What is ksav mashita? What's mashita?
That's a foreign language is not Hebrew. The Magen Avram, so it's one of the big poskim has an opinion that on Shabbos it's not an issa deraisa to write even on Shabbos, not an issa deraisa to write only lashon kodesh.
Wow.
Which the poskim bring sometimes, like if somebody goes to the hospital, lo yaleinu, and they have to sign the papers, so they use it as a tziruf that it's only the Rabanan. According to, I don't remember, it's the Ramono. I think it's a Magen Avram.
The writing utensil is not muksa?
It's a tzaruk. It's a klisha malachti. You're right. It is muksa. It's a klisha malachti listed that you need it for, so then you would be able to use it. Yeah, fine. Either way, you're allowed to write notes. Now, writing, by the way, writing on a screen, that all the poskim are moeda. To write on a screen is not an issue on chol hamoed. So, but it's certainly better to write on a screen than to write manually. Right? Otherwise, you have a problem. How do you make phone calls on chol hamoed? You're always writing on the screen. Right? So that's considered. What?
Don't some hold that if you print it at the same time, that would be considered shiva?
If you print it, yeah. If you print it, yeah. Then of course, yeah. Thank you. Then you also get into the pictures, right? The Chazon Ish was anti taking pictures on chol hamoed. That's why you don't see pictures of Chaim Kanievsky in a shtreimel, very rare, because they don't take pictures in Bnei Brak, right? Developing pictures. What?
What's Yom Kippur?
And chol hamoed.
And chol hamoed? I thought you just said he doesn't like pictures.
The stipler, right? That's where you don't see the pictures. The stipler used to wear the spadik. He took it off right after Shabbos, and the only time you can really get him is in chol hamoed, but they don't take pictures, Steipler used to wear a spudik, not a strimer.
No,
But
what I'm
anyway.
saying is, Matzah Yom Kippur, you'll see pictures of Reb Chaim wearing a shtreimel.
Oh, because he did with the Havdalah, that's, yeah. But anyway, so pictures, to develop pictures, everybody says it's not allowed. Digital pictures, most places can have the opinion that it is okay. Fine. A person is allowed to write tefillin and mezuzah for himself, meaning not for business. The taiva tzitzis, and he's allowed to spin on his thigh. That's a literal translation. Tchelas for tzitzis. Right.
So this sheet that clearly holds is not about doing a malacha. These are both malachas over here.
Right, but you're doing with a shinoi. Here we're saying you're doing with a shinoi.
But the first case is not about shinoi. The case of a person allowed to do real malacha on Yom Tov for himself. So it's nothing to do with malacha. Clearly, you're allowed to do malacha on Yom Tov.
We're mattering, not Yom Tov, we're talking about chol. We're mattering him to do it for his own need. Right? Because a tzarech mitzvah, you're allowed to do malacha. Right? That's what you have to say. For the tzarech mitzvah, it's allowed. Yeah, that's Rabbi Yehuda Shita. We'll see more in the Gemara. Yeah, but the tzitzis has to be spun b'shinu. Fine. So Tana Rabanan, Zak the Gemara. Tana Rabanan. We're on New Testament Aleph now. Top line. Tana Rabanan. Kaisav Adam tefillin mezuzah la'atzmai. A person could write tefillin mezuzah for himself. The taiva al yerecha tchelas l'tzitzasai, and he could spin on his thigh tchelas for tzitzis ula'cherim. And he could do it for others, but not for money. We had this before. He could do it as a taiva. Rashi says, "V'loy b'schar," meaning the guy says, I'll give you a nice bottle of schnapps, right, or something like that. Divrei Rameir. That's what Rameir holds. Myrim, you could do a harama, right? Now, what is harama? You're going to do a shtick, all right? And what you can do is sell your own tefillin, let's say, or tzitzis, and then go write it for yourself. All right, a guy comes over, he says, "Hey, you're a nice cipher. Can you write me a pair of tefillin here on chol hamoed?" He says, "I can't do it for you. I can only do it for myself." He says, "Okay, sell me yours." Right? Sell me yours, and then it's fine. Right? Rabbi Yossi says you have to write it and sell it in your regular derech. Kidei parnasasai. Right? For if he needs to make parnasa, then he's allowed to do it. Fine. So I relay Rav the Rav Chananel. So Rav, yeah.
Is this a right that they wore still in the chol hamoed? Is it specifically for after Yom Tov?
I don't think that makes a difference.
How could you make it for after Yom Tov?
Isn't that a chana?
Yeah, I'm saying you can make it on chol hamoed for after Yom Tov.
He said he's making it for parnasa. Nothing to do
For parnasa, yeah. For parnasa, yeah. I think it would be, no?
But la'atzmai?
Why not?
You're on a rampage for tefillin on chol hamoed. You said the same thing yesterday.
Me? No, I didn't.
What? Well, he's a cipher, so.
Yeah.
I'm a cipher without a parnasa.
That's part of the simon of a good cipher, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I was a little confused exactly what the parameters are here of when you're allowed to do it, when you're not allowed to do it. Right? I'm saying what do you call parnasa? Kidei parnasa. So he's allowed to work and he's allowed to do it?
Yeah.
I understood that's a tzarech Yom Tov.
It's
not.
He needs money.
The Gemara doesn't say that.
It just says it's important for when? After Yom Tov.
Well, that's
Rashi doesn't say that.
He brings down over here the Nemuki, the Rosh, the Ritz, the Ram.
Yeah, it's a big tumult in the Rishonim. Exactly what's going on over here. What does that mean? Kidei parnasa.
He's allowed to buy meat and wine to enhance his enjoyment of the Yom Tov.
Right. So why only him? Why only him?
What do you mean?
Why about somebody else? Why can't somebody else also do it to malacha? That's the guy's a weaver or a tailor. How come he's not allowed to?
No, so I thought it's because he's being Isaac in. I had the same question this morning because he's being Isaac in Dvarim of Mitzvah. That's shlach.
Again, so that's what Gershon's asking. Is this for tzarich, the mitzvah for the tzarich on chol hamoed, or is this for after chol hamoed?
It doesn't make a difference. He's dealing.
Sure, it does, man. Why not? One is a tzarich for Yom Tov, one is not. Okay, I'm not clear. Okay, let's see. So let's see about Zari le Rav Chanan Bami le Rav Babrachana le Rav Chanan Halacha Kaisev u'Meicher Kedarka Kidei Parnasasai, that he's allowed to write and sell it like the regular derech in order to make parnasa. Right? Yeah. Fine, but then the Lamaisa we pass that yes, he could do this, but it's only for Tzarech Yom Tov. Right? The way the lashon of the Mechaber is in Shulchan Aruch is that a person is allowed to write Tefilin and mezuzah la'atzmai, v'toiv al yireicha tcheles, v'tzitzis l'bigdoi, v'meile ma yochel, kaisev v'meichel acherim k'dei parnasasei. Only if ein ma yochel, which the Gemara, like Akiva was saying, doesn't say. That's the way the Mechaber is learning it. Or then the Ramah says, or he's going to be able to spend more money with Simchas Yom Tov. And if he's writing them to put them on chol hamoed, then avada, it's mutter. So you see, and this whole thing of it is only an issue of the ksiva, but to put the tefillin together, that's for sure okay. Okay, so it's a little vague, but it sounds like there's enough room to work with that the cipher can write parshias on chol hamoed, right? As far as I know, I think the minig is not. I think the minig is that they don't. But anyway,
it goes without saying if he has to fix for somebody who wears on chol hamoed or
that's avada. Yes,
and they need to fix Sefer Torah, then it's allowed, right?
Yes, yeah. If you need it for a tzarech Yom Tov, 100%. Fine. The toiv al yirechet tcheles, and he spins on his thigh tcheles. Tarabon toiv adam al yirechet tcheles l'tzitzai avaloi be'evan, but he can't do it with a stone. Meaning, when he's weaving it, so they have to take the what do you call it? What is it called? That thing, the throttle. I can't remember all the terminologies for this.
The
thing.
shuttle.
The shuttle. That's it. Thank you, Aaron Zweig. The shuttle. Yes, very good. The shuttle goes through. You pass it through, and then you. I don't know. I should even bother. You have the strings. No? You have spindle's another type. You have the strings that are like this, that are woven. Then you put the shuttle through, and then you put the device, and then it makes another row, and then you pass it through, and you pass it through. So he's saying you can do it with an evan, which is a shino. I'm sorry, you can't do it with an evan. And Rechamim say you even with an evan. You could do it with a stone, but not with a pelach. Pelach is what do you call it? A spindle, right? Okay, so we have a machlokes all the way around which way to do this. Some Rav Yehuda Mashmul, the halacha is you could do it whether you do it with a stone or a pelach. Halacha kaisev kedarka u'meicher kedei parnasasei, and then the Gemara repeats that you can write tefillin and mezuzahs in the regular way and sell it kedei parnasasei, right, in order to pay for Yom Tov. Right, again, all your Yom Tov haitzos you get back anyways, right? We discussed many times, and let's not, since it is Rosh Chodesh, we failed to mention the Gemara again in Beya, where we saw on the side of the Gemara in Beya, one of the girsayos that Rosh Chodesh also, and Mishna Brura brings it down like that your expenditures on Rosh Chodesh, the covered Rosh Chodesh, also does not come out of your calculation. Yes, my kids do not fail to remind me of that every Rosh Chodesh. Yeah. So yes, that's the way it goes. Yes, so Zok the Mishna. Hakayveres Meisai. Here we go, Naftali. Hakayveres Meisai. Shloshim Yomim Kaidin L'Regel. Batul Menu Gzeira Shiva. If you bury the dead 3 days before Yom Tov, meaning so if Yom Tov is on a Friday, so then the burial has to be by Wednesday. If it's after Wednesday, then shiva is not the Yom Tov is not mavatal the shiva. It has to be more than 3 days before. So Hakayveres Meisai Shloshim Yom Kaidin L'Regel. Batul Menu Gzeira Shiva. It's batul shiva. Shmoina. And if they bury the dead 8 days before, so then batul Menu Gzeira Shloshim. Then it's mavatal the Gzeira of Shloshim. So just before we go weiter, just to explain this. So Yom Tov knocks out shiva and it knocks out Shloshim, but it only knocks out Shloshim if if the shiva is over, right? Meaning it doesn't knock out, it can only knock out one thing at a time, right? So anyway, either way, we don't paskin like this Mishna, if anybody's wondering. We're going to paskin like, it's not, I think it's tomorrow's daf, that it's as long as the burial is a minute before Yom Tif, that knocks out the shiva, right? But it will not knock out the shloshim. The last day's Yom Tif on Sukkot will knock out the shloshim, right? Because it's a separate Yom Tif, right? Or Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. Okay, we'll see at the end of the Mishnah. But the point is that, so if according to this Mishnah though, you need at least 3 days. Now, why 3 days? So Taisus says, right, half a line Taisus, he says the ikar aveilus lasts 3 days, right? And the Gemara is going to say weiter that at the end of the Masechta that there's 3 days for crying. 3 days of crying. After the 3 days, they stop crying. That's why there are some opinions that say you shouldn't go be menachem over the first 3 days, right? Okay, but whatever it is. So this Ashita is going with 3 days. But if it's within 7 days, so then the Yom Tov only knocks out the shiva, it can't knock out the shloshim. But if the burial is more than 7 days before Yom Tov, then obviously it doesn't knock out shiva because there was shiva before shiva was over for Yom Tov. But it will knock out the shloshim, right? So that's the first line of the Mishnah. Then it says Mipnei Sha'amru, because we say Shabbos Oila Be'enam Afsek. Shabbos counts towards shiva, even though you don't sit shiva on Shabbos. Meaning, how come if you have to have 7 days, if you have to have 7 days of shiva, Shabbos there's no shiva, right? So why don't you have to keep an extra day? Meaning, if the burial is on a Tuesday, so why is shiva always over on Tuesday morning? Why is it not over on Wednesday morning? Because you only have 6 days of shiva, because Shabbos is no shiva. So that's what the Mishnah is saying. Shabbos counts towards the shiva, but einam mafsekes, it doesn't stop the shiva. And regalim, Yom Tif is the opposite. Mafsikin, it will stop the shiva, if according to this Mishnah it's in 3 days. Bein an island, but it will not count towards the shloshim. Right? We're not going to count it. The shloshim will continue later, which we'll see in the Gemara. That's the first sheet. Once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, then we don't look at Shavuos like a Yom Tif. We look at it like a regular Shabbos. Why? Because by Shavuos, there's Tashlumin. Right? Even though there's only 1 day Yom Tif, but you have another 6 days after that. Ask any guy that davens in the shul that says no tachnun for the 6 days after Shavuos. Right? Everybody's well aware of this, that you have 6 days to bring karbanos. So in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, that had a din of Yom Tov. But nowadays, unfortunately, we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. So Shavuos is essentially a Shabbos. That's Rabbi Eliezer. Rosh Hashanah b'Yom Kippurim k'regalim. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur are regular Yom Tovim, even though they don't go a week. They don't last a week. Right? Like have their own, the third opinion. El Atzeres k'regalim. Atzeres is like Yom Tov. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim k'Shabbos. But Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur are k'Shabbos. Why? Like Rashi says, because they're only 1 day. Since they're only 1 day, therefore they don't get a din of being mevatel the shiva. But Shavuos does, because Lamaisa you can bring the karbonos for an entire week. Okay, so Zok the Gemara. Omar Rav.
Do things change in Chutz La'aretz?
What do you mean?
Because Chutz La'aretz you have 2 days. So would their opinions change in Chutz La'aretz?
Chutz La'aretz, you'd have no, because I think it means no 7. I think that's pshat.
And you also have 2 days Rosh Hashanah everywhere.
It's either 1 or 7, you mean?
You're saying, I mean, Dr. Korman is saying nowadays in Yerushalayim and in Eretz Yisrael anyways, they keep 2 days. So, right?
Just
No, Rosh
Hashanah.
No, but again, I think the din is, it's not 7. That's the point. It's not 7. Yeah?
Then why would Shmini Atzeres be counted as its own Yom Tov?
Because Lamaisa, the way we paskin that it's considered regular. We consider all of them as Yom Tovim. You're right. Theoretically, according to his shita, I think you'd be right. I don't know for sure. Right? Okay. So anyway, so that's but I think that's the way we paskin. Then they're all considered Yom Tov. Yeah. It gets real confusing if somebody loses a family member before Sukkot. It's like you don't even know how a 7-day shloshim, and then it jumps, and it's shiva shloshim, and then it's wild. It's wild. Okay,
so what do we say with Yom Kippur? What does that do? That stops it?
Yom Kippur stops it. Yeah. Yom Kippur stops it, and then Sukkot stops the shloshim. Right, but Yom Kippur, I think I don't remember exactly. I have to recheck. It's coming up tomorrow's daf as the Shema Al, but then I'll look how we come out, because you can count 1 day Yom Tov as 7 days towards shloshim, whatever it is. It's a whole thing. Fine. No say Zok Gemara. Amar Rav Gezeras batlu Yomim loy batul. The gezerah of the shloshim are batul, but not the days. Right? It goes. I have to just say this just because I'm a Litvak. So one of the big shilas, unfortunately, when people ask when this happens, it's like, okay, when's the shloshim suda? Right? That's mamish. Gershon, this is for you, right? That's mamish like from the mitzvahs chamuras of somebody's nifty. You got to have a shloshim suda. It doesn't say that anywhere in halacha that you have to have a shloshim suda, a siyum. Yeah, it's a very nice thing. The limud HaTorah that you make the siyum for is the ikr, not the party. If anything, the party is maybe halachically an issue for the aveilus, but that's depending on where it's being held. But the limud HaTorah that they do, le'iloi nishmas, that's the point of the whole thing, not the party. Whatever. Okay, fine. So I'm gonna
you're gonna go next step further about you don't have to go to the basic chorus on the yard side. It's more about learning, right? You're gonna go there.
Well, aren't I here? And my brothers are partying in Israel. Okay, fine. So, yeah. So Amar Rav, so Gzeras batul Yomim loy batul. The days are not batul. V'chein Amar Rav Huna Gzeras batul Yomim loy batul. Rav Sheshes Amar Afilu Yomim nami batul. Even days are also batul. So what does this mean? Gzeras Yomim, my timer Yomim loy batul. What does it mean? What is it that the days are not batul? She'im loy gilach erev haregel. If he didn't take a haircut right before Yom Tov, also legaleach achar regel, then he's not allowed to take it until after Yom Tov. Meaning, you get a heter to take the haircut for Yom Tov. If you missed Yom Tov, you don't say, "Oh, shloshim is gone." No, you missed the boat. You were supposed to take a haircut, the covered Yom Tov. You didn't. Now you gotta wait. You gotta wait the 30 days.
When is this? An hour before Yom Tov?
Yeah, you'd have to do it an hour before Yom Tov. Yeah. Right, I don't know, hour, whatever the shear is. 2 hours before, like from Mincha Katan, I think is the popular.
What about Pesach? How about erev Pesach?
Oh, that's a good. Thank you for the reminder. That's a big Machlokes. I think it's a Machaber Ramah over, because erev Pesach. What Akiva means is erev Pesach, you're not allowed to take it. Right? We said it has a din of chol hamoed erev Pesach. So how can you go take a haircut?
Like my shver, he lost Yud Gimel Nissen that night. The Levi was erev the first night. The Matzah Shabbos was the first Seder, and it was nifted. The Levi was Friday.
Yeah, so there it's a big diyun whether you should wait and do it or not. Yeah. Meaning, do you wait for chatzos or better to do after chatzos because it's a tzayra, right? Because we know that somebody.
One second, that case is not the same thing. Erev Pesach it was Shabbos. He said the first Seder was much Shabbos, not Friday night.
What?
That Friday is a regular day. That Friday is not. That Friday you can shave. When the first Seder is much Shabbos, you can shave that Friday. The whole day.
Shabbos.
The
first Seder is much Shabbos.
Right.
Erev Pesach Shchayis b'Shabbos. You could shave the whole Friday.
Oh, there you could shave the whole day.
Yeah, Zevi's case wasn't.
Yeah. Fine. Okay, so Vatanya now on Tommy base. We say a Braysa. Rashi says this Braysa is a proof. Now, a lot of times Vatanya is a kasha. Here it's not. It's a proof. Right? Rashi and Tosfos say that. One who buries his dead 3 days before Yom Tiv, batul emenu gzeira shiva, then shiva's batul. Shmoyne yom kadol l'regel, batul emenu gzeira shloshim. Shloshim's over. Megalech erev haregel, and he takes the haircut erev haregel. Im loigilach erev haregel, but if he didn't take the haircut, erev Yom Tiv, also legalech achar haregel, he's not allowed to take the haircut after. Meaning the shloshim is over like we just said, if you take the opportunity to look good for Yom Tov. But once you miss it, then you have to go back to your regular shloshim after Yom Tov. Abba Shaul Omer, and this is the way we paskin, and this is what changes a lot of the halachas. You are allowed to take the haircut after Yom Tov. Shiva, just like the mitzvah of 3 days, meaning if the person is nifter, buried 3 days before Yom Tov, it's mevatel the shiva. Kach mitzvah shiva mevatel gzeira shloshim. So too, the mitzvah of shiva, it knocks out the gzeira of shloshim, even if he didn't take the haircut. Right? So meaning he's being chaylik on the whole. He's being chaylik in two things. He's being chaylik on this whole thing that he has to shave in order to knock out the shloshim. He says it's not true. It automatically knocks it out. Right? So the Gemara says, Shiva, what do you mean? 7 days before Yom Tov? We learned that you have to do, it has to be 8 days in order for shloshim. So Kasavar Abba Shaul, he says, Abba Shaul is the one that says that a partial part of the day is considered like the whole day. Therefore, the 7th day works for both. Meaning, we had this 2 blot ago or 3 blot ago. As long as the person is nifter 7 days before, not 8. So according to Abba Shaul, as long they sit shiva for a minute in the morning, now shiva's over. That day, even though it's only the 7th day, now counts towards the shloshim. So now according to Abba Shaul, they sat shiva on erev Yom Tov. They also started the shloshim, and therefore the shloshim, the Yom Tov will come and knock out the shloshim. So that day counts for both.
What is the svara?
What's the svara with it?
I'm saying, where does he learn it? Where does he come from? Where does it come from?
We have it a lot of times.
Why can't you do by nida? She's mixing kakula. She wait to begin in the 7th day.
Ba'etzim we do. By nida ba'etzim we do mix yom kakula.
But when we wait till the end of them,
because gzeiros, there's different gzeiros. We're afraid they're going to be together before nightfall. Really ba'etzim. Why don't you say on Shabbos mix yom kakula? I'm sure you got a lot of fans for that, right? Especially when the sports fans for sure. What?
I mean Shabbos morning, you mean?
Yeah, mixas hayom kakule. By the way, there are poskim that hold mixas halayla kakule also. Meaning, if you just keep the night before, why don't you say mixas halayla? Why do you need yom?
Why do you have to fast the whole day? Just say mixas yom and don't fast.
Oh, very. Now you're talking. Now you're
talking. Morning. That's
now you're talking. No,
I'm asking. Where does it come from?
Because the pshat is that the way he's understanding is the aveilus needs to be 7 days. Doesn't need to be a full 7 days. It needs to be 7 days. That's it. So you have on the 7th day.
I'm saying, is there a limit? Is there a gzeir shava? Is there something?
No, it's a svara. I mean, it's interesting. He's a das yachin. We paskin like him, which the Gemara is going to say in a minute. What are you saying?
We said before the Abba Shaul, Betzim, everyone's masking to this. The chiddush of Abba Shaul over here is that it's lakan or lakan.
Why?
The idea of mitzvah yom kakula, everyone's masking to. Abba Shaul's chiddush is that we're taking the 7th day that we cut off and made kulay and adding it to the 8th day. We're turning it into the next day.
No, we're not really adding the 8 days. She's just saying that the shloshim started.
How is the shloshim started if the 7th day is not over? You want to tell me that you're yaitz to the 7th day and you get up from shiva? Fine. Meichatesi to go ahead and say the 8th day started. We didn't start the 8th day. Why don't we say mixas yom kakul on the 1st day and you're done with the entire shloshim?
I thought the exact opposite. I thought it was mistaber. Shloshim starts from Misa, not from Shiva, the end of Shiva. So as long as the Gezeira of Shiva is over, then Shloshim
doesn't start. That's not true. Then it doesn't matter if it's the 8th day or the 7th day. Everyone would be masking. If
I forgot, where did we have it before that we said that we mix Yom Kippur in the beginning is not as simple to say as we say it on the end, right? Where do we have that?
Wasn't that in Tinus?
It would make sense because if it was before that, I probably would totally not remember anything, right? So it means I have remember epis. What?
I think it was at the end of Tinus.
I hear. I don't know. Okay, let's see a little bit weiter, and then we'll see what we come out here. Fine. So that's Abba Shaul's opinion, mixas yom kakule, which, as anybody knows with shivas, that's the way we pass it. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Ravina Bar Shila, halacha ka Abba Shaul. Halacha is like Abba Shaul, right? U'moedim chacham l'Abba Shaul. But the Chachamim Moed Abba Shaul Shechol Shmini Shalilias b'Shabbos erev regel, that when the 8th day falls out on erev regel shemutar l'galei erev Shabbos, then you're allowed to take a haircut on erev Shabbos. So there, the Chachamim Moed on the 8th day that you say miktas hayom kekuloi, and you'd be allowed to take the haircut, right? Even though it's really shiva according to the Chachamim. Fine. Then Gemara says, "Kaman Ozla Adam Rav Amram Amar Rav Ovel Kivan Shamdu Menachem and Me'etzloi Mutter Berechitza." That the oval, once the people get up to leave, then he's mutter to wash. Right? Kaman, who's that like? Like Abba Shaul. That's like Abba Shaul because the shiva is over. Right? Now, even though, by the way, in shloshim you're not allowed to. The person is not allowed to wash, but he's allowed to. It's like the 9 days, so it doesn't mean like a hot shower. Yeah. Now the question is, and let's say nobody comes to be menachem avel. Here it sounds like only if somebody comes to be menachem avel does he get up. If let's say nobody comes to be menachem avel, right? Like Shabbos morning, right? Let's say the shiva, like the shiva that I had from my father was over Shabbos morning. When does that end? There's no nicham aveilus on Shabbos, right? So they say base, and also women who let's say there's no sun.
Out of the house.
I just said that they said it's not mixed yom kekula. You have to. It was the whole day Shabbos.
No.
Yeah,
Why?
that's what.
Right. No.
He said there's no avail. Whatever things I had to do the whole day.
Why?
You could have gotten an aliyah at Mincha.
He said I can't get an aliyah by Mincha.
Well, I understand. The Ramah says that it's after whenever the regular time to get out of shul is. Right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, whatever it is. By us, Rabbi, he was there. What's my neighbor? Big Talmud Chacham. Rabbi Ramnik was there, and the Mishnah Brura really says that on Shabbos morning you're supposed to say, same way we say, instead of saying Refuah Shalema on Shabbos, you say Shabbos he mi lizoik Refuah Kroy V'Lava, right? It's Shabbos, we don't cry out. Shabbos he mi lizoik, we don't cry out, and you say Refuah Kroy V'Lava, you should have a Refuah, right? So when being Menachem Avel on Shabbos, you say Shabbos hi mi lenachem, hamokim yenachem eschem. The Velt doesn't do this, but the Mishnah Brura L'maisa says to do it. So Rabbi Ramnik was there at David with us, and he made everybody say it to us on Shabbos morning. They said Shabbos hi mi lenachem. It's Shabbos, so we don't do nichem avelim. Hamokim yenachem eschem. So I don't know. Fine. Okay, whatever it is. Amar Abaya. Halacha Abba Shaul b'yom shiva. The halacha is like Abba Shaul on the 7th day. U'moedim chamim la'Abba Shaul b'yom shloshim damrina mixas yom kekuloi. Chachamim amayda ba shloshim that you do say mixas yom kekuloi. So taking haircuts or whatever, shaving is allowed, even according to the Chachamim, according to all opinions. Rav Amar halacha Abba Shaul b'yom shloshim. The halacha is like Abba Shaul on the 30th day. Ve'en halacha Abba Shaul b'yom shiva. The halacha is not like Abba Shaul on the 7th day. Unardoy Amri halacha Abba Shaul bezu. Bezu the halacha is like Abba Shaul by both. The Amar Shmuel, like we had halacha divrei hamekel ba'aval. The halacha is always like the divrei hamekel. So even though it's Abba Shaul is a das yachid against the Chachamim, we go with his opinion, and that's why we say mixas hayom kekuloi on both. What's interesting is, so we say mixas hayom kekuloi. So by mincha does the aval get kadima by shiva and shloshim? So Shachris, he's still sitting shiva. By mincha, does he get kadima? Right? And by shloshim, does he get kadima? Yeah? So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch.
What do you mean by what?
For mincha, he's still in shiva. Is he still considered in shiva for davening for the Amud?
A regular mincha davening. Well,
shiva, the 7th
the day he gets up.
The day
he gets up.
Does he have kadima? Right? Somebody in shiva has kadima ahead of everybody to daven for the Amud, right? That's hands down.
Well,
right?
you're always in your house. You're always in your own
correct, but not for mincha on the 7th day. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says he has kadima. He does have kadima.
Over
and shloshim also, and no over shloshim, and on the shloshim he also has kadima, even though he's no longer in shloshim. But for davening for the Amud, he's still considered like he's in shloshim. Fine.
So from the lesson of Abba Shaul, either Katan or Katan. So the whole day is both.
But the oil lakan was for shloshim, no?
For shiva, the seventh day is right lakan. That's what I was told.
Yeah, but I think lakan. Okay, that lakan is really for shloshim. I think. Okay, whatever. I hear. Okay, it's getting a little late, so let's see. So, okay, shloshim yomi nolan. How do we know shloshim? Where does shloshim come from? Yalef para min nazir. So you learned it out from letting the hair grow, like from nazir. It says here, right? By when Aaron was what do you call it? For Nadav and Avihu was in aveilus and Nadav Avihu, so he didn't keep the halachas regularly. So it says, "Do not let your hair grow." So it's mashma. Like we learned a couple of days ago, it's mashma that the regular level does have to let his hair grow. He should let his hair grow. Just like by a nazir is 30 days. So an avil is also 30 days. It's exera shava. And how do you know by nazir? Stam nazir is 30 days. My timer. Omrakra kadosh yeh b'gematria tlasan avi. Yeah, is a gematria of 30.
Yaakov, so where's the Indian that somebody has to point out to you that you look disheveled come from?
Because that's not a din in shloshim. That's a din for parents only for the whole year.
Where does that din come from? I'm asking.
No,
Gemara
so
says 30 days.
No, that's 30 days. That's because parents. I mean, where does the makar? It has to do with kibbutz.
Yeah. I hear, but where's is there be'etzem an isser?
Yes.
Where does that come from? Do we learn it from Sukkah?
I don't remember. I don't even know if the Gemara is. I'm only a couple of blot ahead, so I don't. It's certainly not in the next two blot. And what I learned before that is Keilu I didn't learn, so that's so what the makar is, I don't remember. But it's an interesting thing that you're bringing up because people think that losing a parent is your whole year, so it must be much more mourning. No, losing a child and a spouse is pashtus worse than losing a parent. A parent, it's almost like, unfortunately, a nature type thing. The reason why for a parent it goes a whole year is I'll keep it on the aim. You don't have to have covered. You have to have covered for a spouse too. But I'm saying, but there's no covered. You don't have a mitzvah of kibbut av aim to a child. You do have a mitzvah kibbut av aim to a parent. So therefore, that's why it's a year. It has nothing to do with the level of sadness. Okay, but I'll check it up. Fine. So Amar Avuna Brayder of Yeshua, Kol Moed Shlishi Shalelias erev regel. That when the third day falls on an erev regel, not the seventh day, right? The seventh day we saw he passed on like Abba Shaul, Mikzasi and Kakulai, he could already shave during the day. But when the third day falls out, meaning really he has another 4 days of shiva, but we're knocking it shorter because of Yom Tif, then you're not allowed to wash until the evening. You don't say Mikzasi and Kakulai on that, which is a good question why you don't, right? Because really the shiva goes till whatever. Yeah? So Amaram Nechami Brayder Rav Yeshua, Ashkachtinu l'Rapapi the Yasvi Ukamri Halacha Ravuna Brayder Rav Yeshua. The halacha is like him that you can't take the haircut earlier. Igadamri Amaram Nechami Brayder Rav Yosef, Ashkachtinu l'Rapapi Ravuna Brayder Rav Yeshua. The Yasvi Ukamri. Those three lines were present for Daf Yomi learners. Hakol Moedim She'im chol shlishi shalei lias erev regel. If the third day falls out on erev regel, she'asa berchitza ada erev, that it's asa ben rechitza until the evening, right? So again, we say mitzvah yom kikuloi, but only when the shiva's over on erev yom tif. Then you could take the haircut during the day. But if the yom tif is cutting the shiva short, then they have to sit until the end of the day. This also, again, using the example of our shiva from my father. So when shiva, and Naftali's also, for when the shiva is over on Shabbos morning, so people think, oh, so Tuesday, since Friday is the last day, so mitzvah siyam kekula. No, you got to keep the shiva the entire Friday because the shiva is not really over until Shabbos morning. So the same even erev yom tif. You're not going to say, you're only saying mitzvah siyam kekula on the last day. You're not saying it any other time. Okay. We'll stop over here. We should only hear Basuras Taivas, and none of this halacha should ever be negaya. Yeah.
I want to find out. I remember Rudinski had a whole thing with Shabbos that since there's nothing for it to be chal on, it was an
That's
issue
what he
with being
means. He's
mixed with
basing it on this
Kula.
Gemara, and there's no question. He's basing it on this Gemara.
So there was something about keeping a lot of things the whole day, whatever you do, but wasn't so on Shabbos mixed. I don't remember everything. I should remember it, but I know that he was learning stuff up during the shiva about it.
Yeah, okay, could be. I don't know what he was saying.
Oh, next time I talk to him, I'll ask him.
Yeah. All right.
Fine.
Fine. Okay. Gute Nacht.
What does Ada Erev mean over here?
Ada
It
Erev
means
where?
Yom Tov night, and the shlishi fila is Erev Yom Tov.
What do you mean? It means.
It means late
What do you
afternoon
call
or night?
Ada Erev?
Yeah.
What?
Does it mean on Yom Tov or right before Yom Tov?
I think we said Mincha Katana. I think that's what the Poskim say.
Yeah, but here it uses the word Erev. I don't know.
Well, you can't do it. Doesn't mean you can't be literal, right?
Why? Take a shower on Yom Tov.
What? What about the
Why
haircut?
can't it mean on Yom Tov?
What?
It's only talking about washing, not haircut.
Hold on. One of the Lashonis was haircut.
This is just rechitza. Akol ma'idim k'shechal shlishi shalai ligas erev haravel. So also rechitza ada erev.
Yeah, but before we said it's I hear what you're saying.
No, before it says Shemutza Galech Erev Shabbos, it's using the word Erev as the day before. Here it uses the word Erev both ways. Erev should mean night here. It should mean on Yom Tov.
I hear. But she's getting the credit. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I got to look it up.
Alrighty.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. If you have any goodies, I can really use something.
Who?
If you have any goodies.
Oh, I had one crazy one. All right, maybe I'll send it to you. Fine. How's it going, Simon?
Not bad. How are you?
Geraldic. It's always good to see you.
Simon.
Hey, question for you. I have a friend out here. It's more just interested in the shiva. He married a woman who had a kid prior, and the father of that child has nothing to do with that child. When he got married, he adopted that kid, and he got upset that the kid can be called up by his adopted father's name, even though the father's still alive, and he's even met him and knows who the father is.
Wow.
You ever heard such a thing?
I think I have heard, but I don't know.
I mean, that's just a sensitivity thing. Like I go, even though I'm Ben Avram because of my Geras, even though I'm Ben Avram, when I get called to the Torah, I say Ben Ephraim. The Rosh Shiva told me I was allowed to. Look with my father, who's not only very much alive but Jewish.
Right. No, so right. So that's
And they're not so stringent on names. You would think, like, I guess on documents maybe. I don't know. But even a document, I think by a document he even can take his stepfather's name.
It's interesting. Look at all these adoption shows, with Yichud and Negia. It's like, I don't know. It's almost like, for adoption, we just, we pull out all the stops.
Are there people that say you can't give an adopted child a hug?
After 12, sure.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, and Yichud too.
Really?
Yeah.
But even though you've adopted them, all that stuff, like.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is yeah. It's a little, yeah, it's a little.
How do
rough.
we? I mean, generally, how do we paskin? Do we paskin? It's like, yeah.
It's rough. It's a rough shiloh. It's a rough shiloh.
It's not for the recording.
No, I don't know what I'm saying. It's nothing to do with recording. It's a rough shiloh. Every situation is different. Also.
Yeah.
There was a time. There was a time when Danielle, we had 2 kids. We weren't sure about if we could even have a third because of whatever Danielle's got. And we're talking like maybe theoretically, maybe we could talk about adopting and things like that. And she brought up like she's heard these horror stories where like at a certain age you can't hug your kid. Like that, she couldn't handle that. Like that just put a.
Yeah, well, you could have adopted.
All right, Baruch Hashem, we don't have to worry about it anymore. But
Baruch Hashem, that's true. That's true.
Now I'm too tired. Even if I could, I wouldn't.
Yeah. All right, that's fun. Yes. All right, I gotta log off.
All right,
okay.
Good enough.
Feel good.
Thank you.